Divine Feminine class. Oh. Hi guys. So this on calendar will be our last like official session in our Divine Feminine workshop. But you guys, I owe you 3 meditations. One of them's done, and asking it shall be given. I finally found some awesome help with getting the music and everything, how I want it. So those will be uploaded hopefully by Sunday. So I'm going to kind of keep the group in the messenger and probably just forever. And I'll just keep sharing information in there. And, there might be other things that we'll be talking about. But first of all, I just want to thank you guys for going on this journey with me. This was definitely out of my comfort zone, this workshop. Because I've been in the masculine role for a really long time as like the single mom and the breadwinner and all that. And so this was probably the biggest life transformation I've ever had. And of course, it opened up a can of worms in other areas, but it's all been a major blessing. But really, it all started with this workshop. And I did this workshop because it was like what I was starting to notice was all of these very, very, very strong, driven women who, could beat up men, just with their energy. It was like really it was really out of balance, including myself. And I realized that for a while, we really value our strength. We're proud of ourselves, what we can accomplish, especially when we kind of look around and be like, we're doing a lot more, but when we really soften into the truth of who we are is like, none of us ever really wanted to work as hard as we've had to work, or have to carry the stress that we've had to carry and the burdens that we've been having to carry. And it's definitely made our life way too abundant in the area of lack. So carrying all of these burdens, whether it's emotional burdens, physical burdens, like company burdens, family burdens, we don't realize is that when we don't transcend the energy there, it stays with us. You could move into a different house, even lose weight, but you take yourself with you. And the more damaged we become over the years, the stronger we have to become. So when I realized that the whole alpha female thing was not a compliment, it was actually coming from a very wounded state of kind of acceptance, where it was like I was just accepting that, this is my life. I'm like, I have to be this strong. And again, like I said, I was proud of myself in some ways, but in other ways, it was causing way too many issues, because the stronger you are as a feminine energy, the more walls you have up. And the stronger that you are emotionally, the less you feel, which is never a good idea for Divine Feminine, because that's our strength. Our ability to feel is one of our superpowers. And the depth of how we can feel is really, truly how we work through enlightenment as women. So ultimately, when I kind of realized from an aha moment that, we're always studying kind of the mind, body, soul, or the me, myself, and I. But when we realize that the womb of creation is its own universe, and it is basically what makes up your belief systems, your identity, your reality. It is 95% of your point of attraction. It is also 95% of your energy, right? So it is coming from the unconscious space, or the subconscious place, which means there's a lot in there that you don't know anything about you. And the only way that you ever see what's inside the subconscious is when it's projected outside you from a mirror, because everything that happens in our reality is coming from the subconscious, everything. Okay. And again, it feels like, well, that's not related to me. And I've never felt like that. And I've never done that. And I've never said that. But you have to understand that the subconscious is almost like your dream state. It's going to blend different emotions and vibrations together, and it's going to project an image or a relationship or a situation or a circumstance out of that. And that's not going to feel like it has anything to do with you. And it has everything to do with vibration. So like I said, you could be next door living to a serial killer and say, how did I attract living next door to a serial killer? I have nothing in common. I love you. I've never killed anybody. But the reason he might be, slaughtering people is because he has self-pity. And you have self-pity. But instead of killing people, you are saving people. So you don't see the match. But if you look below the surface, every single person that you've ever had personal issues with, you are vibrating the same exact frequency, but you're acting it out differently. Because especially sensitive empaths, we are really good at disassociating from things that are uncomfortable. Your subconscious mind is constantly trying to keep you comfortable. So if there is something in your subconscious mind that is going to make you really uncomfortable, this is where the self-sabotage comes in. Because your comfort and maintaining your reality and maintaining your patterns and programs is its only job. But it's very literal. So you say, I'm broke, something's going to break. And the more you put emotion and feeling and mood into those thoughts and ideas, the more it becomes an actual physical reality. So, you could notice something and be in a bad mood and then notice that you have that mood quite often. Because one thing about the subconscious is that it's going to repeat moods that you have chronically that you might not even be aware of. Like, do you have like a pissy mood that you just get sometimes? Right? Or do you have like an irritated mood that you get sometimes? Because again, anything that happens with any sort of reality shift gets taken very seriously in the subconscious. So one thing that you might not know that we haven't even covered yet in this class is that your subconscious is the manager of fight, flight, freeze, fawn, friend. Subconscious mind regulates your nervous system. And again, this is below your control, unless you are super present. If you don't study your reality, you won't know what's in there. Because it's not like your conscious mind that's, the hero of your story, or always has the best intentions, or is always doing its best. So you don't see yourself as a martyr. You don't see yourself as a victim, because your conscious mind is your protector and your provider. So it's trying to move you out of that victim by energy. And this is where 99% of your motivation comes, is to basically outwit, outsmart, or outproduce the subconscious mind. So the efforts that get you out of bed and fire you up all day have nothing to do with changing your reality. It is trying to improve you. And then your brain gets on board, and that's trying to improve you. So most of your motivation is to be and do something more and have more than you already have or are. So I'm always pushing, hey, state of being, be. Your brain wants no part of that. That's getting the signals from subconscious that says, no, you need to keep trying. You need to become. You need to do more. You need to have more. You need to be smarter. You need better looking. All of these things that have nothing to do with truly who you are. So every person you've ever dated has been chosen by your subconscious. Every conflict you've ever had was chosen by your subconscious. So every frenemy you've had, every crazy business partner, every irritable boss, okay, they are created in the subconscious, and you are attracted to them as if it's some new sort of like, oh, we've known each other for lifetimes. And your subconscious is like, no, it's just a pattern sitting here. And we're going to project it so now that you can act out your reality. So if you looked at where your script was being held, your script is being held in the subconscious. So you don't even know what actor you need to be until you start studying your own behavior and watching your own thoughts for a few days. And then you're probably like, wow, I really am kind of critical. But you don't see yourself that way. Okay. And everything about this particular time and space hologram that we sit in, it is all this virtual reality. Yes, it is a choose your own reality, but you have to be aware enough to know what you're choosing. And so this is kind of why we stretched this workshop out for so long, is because it was definitely out of my comfort zone and above my pay grade from what I'm used to teaching, and had to kind of dig in myself and, you know, use myself as the guinea pig, as I always do. But, you know, sometimes you find yourself in the middle of hell that you created, and, you know, you don't know how to get out. And I will tell you, to date, I have done a lot in my life, and I'm kind of fearless. The hardest thing I have ever done to date, this is even above raising children and having children naturally, was clearing out my subconscious mind. That has been the most difficult thing I have ever done, because, you know, 47 years of adding content, you know, subconscious doesn't turn off. It's 24 hours a day. So you fall asleep watching TV, your subconscious doesn't know that's not you, by the way. So don't go to sleep with the news on, because it's recording 24/7. And the more unconscious you are, the more suggestible you are. The more relaxed you are, the more impregnable you are. So when you are in these relaxed states, you are really absorbing. This is why a lot of PTSD and trauma is so repressed, because it's the things that were happening to you when you were sleeping, things that were happening to you when you were, you know, not on your defensive measures. You were blindsided. Okay. You were in that relaxed, happy position, and then boom, right? And so it's like, those are the moments where things get really solidified in the subconscious mind, because that's dangerous. And you were not on guard. So now part of you is going to say, you need to be on guard all the time. And a lot, I would say 90% of the women that I have met that are empathic and sensitive constantly are in a state of anxiety or depression and have no idea. Because we are so good at living depressed, anxious, worried, that we don't even look at it. Okay. And I know you can relate to this. Like, there has been anxiety raging inside of you, and you're just chill, because that's what the world needs you to be. You can't freak out. You're the glue. You're the home. You're the kitchen of the house. You know, it's like, you are the one that's got to be nurturing, even if you need nurturing. And so then on top of that, if you haven't been safe in your life for whatever trauma is there or things that are happening, well, then you're going to be acting more in that masculine mindset that's going to put you into that state of hurry, 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 hurry. You know, I've got to figure this out. I've got to solve all these problems. I've got to micromanage everybody. I've got to control this situation. And that identity, or those personalities, are coming from your subconscious, and they're all about keeping you safe. All right. So then when those things are not keeping you safe, your subconscious is like, well, let's add body weight, right? Because now I'm putting body armor. I am all the time trying to keep you safe. And you're like, what the heck? I'm eating less and I'm gaining. Well, you know, you're probably having anxiety and depression, and you're unaware of it, which means you don't feel safe. You don't feel free. You don't feel loved. And so again, when you don't feel loved, your subconscious mind is going to tell you that you need not love, but what feels like it. So then, you know, chocolate can feel like love, and chocolate will never gossip about you. So, you know, it's things like that that we have used to soothe ourselves. And if you are a parent, you know all about soothing your child, and you will come up with some crazy ways to soothe your child. Like, I'm driving my daughter around the town because that was the only way she'd sleep. And no, it was inconvenience, but it was like, I had no other choice. Or, you know, like things we use, like blow dryers with the kids with colic, and all the things we've done as mothers. Well, now think that you are the parent of yourself. How have you soothed yourself? Because you've had to figure out a way to soothe yourself to get through your life. And that's where the idea of addiction comes in, or checking out, or 4 hours of social media. All they're doing is soothing yourself. But again, you know, especially divine feminine, we have a deep program sitting in our subconscious that is the competitive. It's the competitive program that, you know, we're unconsciously competing with each other. And this came to separate us, because if we could be separate from each other, and we would feel isolated and alone, well, then that's when we would be controllable. Okay. So this is all part of this initial program that, you know, has hijacked your subconscious, aka your soul. And this whole kind of movement that we're in right now, if you are on your spiritual journey or your awakening journey, then you're in this process of being purified. So whether you found my workshop or you found someone else's workshop, you know, all of a sudden it's like, you know, cleaning out the womb energy, womb clearing, divine feminine, reclaiming your energy. But really, when we think of purification and we think of like, you know, having that like second awakening or that Christed birth, what I've been talking about in other classes, really where it's about is it's about having the soul that matches your heart and spirit, not the soul that matches the pain that you have survived. Because as long as your soul is full of your memories, it's dense, it's heavy, it's like carrying a big backpack full of rocks around. Or if you ever did the quantum fitness workshop, I taught in the very first class that your subconscious mind is kind of like, what it will do is if there is something uncomfortable, like let's say there's barely any water here, okay? And I have to hold this out, okay? It's not heavy right now, but in about 30 seconds, this is gonna get really heavy because of gravity. Not because of the weight of the bottle, but because that I'm putting it away from my field that I use to balance gravity with. So now this is going to make my arm very tired. So look at this as negative emotion. What am I going to do with this? I can't put it down. It's mine. I don't want anyone else to feel it. I don't want anyone to know I have it. So I'm going to put it here. Because right here, or right here, or right here, or right here, it's going to become balanced as part of my like field. So, you know, it's almost like when you carry one side of the backpack on this side, you got one baby, you're always trying to balance yourself. And so you do this the same with emotional trauma. So instead, women, what we do is we put it right here. And then as soon as it's here, I could carry this for the rest of my life and not feel it. Literally, it weighs nothing. Okay. So it's like lifting weights versus wearing ankle weights. You get used to the weight you're carrying. And when you get used to the weight you're carrying, right? And you don't know it's there, and you know, it at first it kind of gives you power because it makes you stronger. But the more and more and more weight you stack on yourself, right, the weaker you get and the more anxiety that builds because you're aware that you're getting weaker. It's like you realize you can't hold anymore. And the worst part about all this is that this cup of emotion isn't just sitting there in my body. It's mixing with my chemistry. It's mixing with my other energy of my desires and my wants and my needs, and it's vibrating. And anything that vibrates is going to have either a density or an attraction value. It's going to be magnetic or repulsive. Okay, so this trauma is either magnetizing more trauma or it's repulsing it out, like I'm pushing anything that feels like this out. Like if I had a splinter in my hand, looking at a splinter out there would hurt worse. So I would stay away from all things that were like a splinter if I was dealing with the splinter. You see that? Okay, but in some things you don't know they're there, and you blend the pain in with yourself. And so now, because this is vibrating, it's attracting more pain. So you're either pushing pain away or you're pulling pain towards you. And the only way that you'll be able to discover that is to notice what you're manifesting. That's it. The only way you'll know what's in your subconscious is what you manifest. Who you manifest, how you manifest, because it is so in your blind spot that, like, there's things I've discovered about my own subconscious over this last few months that there's like no way I would have thought that was me, or no way I would have thought that I even had that within me, you know, because it seems so far-fetched, but it all happens, usually sets the tone. You've heard of software and hardware. Well, certain energies or traumas that happen before the first 7 years become hardware. Okay, so your money story is hardware. Okay. Your relationship with the divine masculine energy, the divine feminine energy, mother, father wound, God energy, hardware. What time was either your warden or it was your creative space, it becomes your hardware. So who you choose and who chooses you, right? It's all preset. And so this is why we think that we're building our reality. Oh, I finally got the job of my dreams. I'm finally making money. I'm making something of myself. And then you notice the same scenarios are happening in the job, in the money, in your new house, in your body, has always happened. Not maybe the exact match, but if you look at the underlying tone of what you are manifesting, you're literally Groundhog Daying your childhood. And so why this is so important, especially for women, to clear out their subconscious is, men too as well, because obviously it's the same story here. But for women is we tend to carry more from the idea of love, like carrying people's energy, carrying people's problems, carrying people's drama, carrying, the other people's stuff tends to be one of our love languages, because we're looking at kind of like the quantum reality. We're looking at women or divine feminine as space. It's like you've seen, like if you carried a child, how big you can get. You're like, how is my body doing that? So we are the masters of space. And guys who live with women know they probably have this much space and it's all the rest ours, because we like having all the space. Okay. We also the house of abundance. And so we are the manifestors of this planet, like direct, instant manifestation. It's like it can happen with divine feminine because there is no need for any third party to truly happen in manifestation if the womb of creation is working well. If it's not, you guys will get pepper in your pumpkin pie, and that's all that's ever happening. If you're confused because you've been doing so much good spiritual work, but you're still manifesting the pumpkin and the pepper in the pie, it's just because you're adding a lot of good energy into the subconscious, but we haven't taken out what is no longer serving us or is no longer, what we no longer want. But it won't move because it thinks it has to protect you. So the only way to truly reprogram the subconscious mind is to become ultra aware of it, which means you have to kind of acknowledge your reality as not, you're being punished by God or, that you did something wrong, but just that your subconscious mind is going to continue to reproduce the genetics that are sitting, the memories that are sitting inside of it. And the less you pay attention to, the bigger and heavier it gets, because it's literally like going to become combustible in there. And then that's when people like, I don't know, cancer just sprung up on me, stage 4. And it feels like all of a sudden, but truly it's the check engine light's been on for a really long time, because you keep, attracting really angry people, and then, anger is linked with cancer. So if we're not paying attention, and especially women, we're really good at paying attention to everybody else. We know what everybody else is doing, everybody else has got. That's our job, is to be the mom. But when we are not living our lives to the fullest, we don't want to pay attention to our life. All right. I want to look at someone else on social media who's doing better, and then it makes me feel bad that they're doing better, but at least it's something to do. You got to look at the stage of like, disconnection that you've created over the years. The harder you try to outwit the subconscious, the bigger and stronger it gets. So the only way that we're going to be able to do this is by healing and letting go of what's in there, and to continue to be present and create that which we want in there. That's it. And this is why only 1% of the planet is like at an elite point within themselves. 1% of the planet is at that superstar, superhero level, right? Super wealth, super athlete, super intelligence, 1%. And the reason why is because the rest of us are living life and we're noticing circumstances constantly, and we're not being self-focused in our own creation of our reality, we believe from a metaphysical perspective that we create our own reality, but how much of your reality are you truly creating right now? At, 100%. Like, are you living in the house that you would create? Are you sitting in the body that you would create? Right? Are you able to do the things that you want to create all day? Do you have resources to create every day? Like, do you have support? Like, where you're naturally weak, do you have someone super strong in that area that you have manifested? Probably not. And that goes for most of us. Even very loving, very intelligent, successful people are still living very small lives. So it's this mediocre versus extraordinary. Like, pay attention to this, because I know in your heart you feel extraordinary. I know in your spirit, when you're connected to that energy, when you're in meditation, when you're doing what you love to do, you feel extraordinary. And then 98% of the time you feel ordinary. All right. You did not come here to be ordinary, especially you, because you are the empathic community, which means you have superpowers of your ability to feel. But we've used it as kind of a nemesis because it's made us feel too much that we had to shut certain areas of ourselves down. We weren't given the tools to, clean out the house occasionally. So we become emotional hoarders. All of us, anybody that's got big baggage that we're carrying, it's just emotional hoarding. We didn't know what else to do with it. Empaths don't want to put their stuff on other people. We'll just swallow it. We'll just suck it up. We'll just take it in, and then the thing is we feel like we are a walking burden. And then when I feel like I'm a walking burden, I don't want to put that on someone, but my desire is to be led and to submit safely so that I can be free to create reality. But I have this big burden, or that, that kind of that symbology of that. And so I was talking to my other class a little bit today about how I did some research, and, women by nature are spirit. Like, women are always more naturally spiritually connected than men, because we are literally the portal of spirit. Like, we're the ones who can create life and be that airport, right, for that spirit to come through. So we have just this natural connection. And we also have 60,000 more thoughts a day than men. We are highly internally emotional. So we are just we're a big ball of emotion, period. And when I ran some research, 98% of the world's spiritual teachers, right? 98% are men. Now, this is not in the arena of life coaching, because there's a lot of women in the life coaching. I mean, like, spiritual leadership. Okay, like your pastors, your true spiritual leadership on this planet, 98% male. All right, and now, like, here I have this class, like, last 7 years, 98% feminine. And what I'm teaching is the quantum perspective of spirituality, right? The kind of holistic idea of how it all works in together. And I was like, that's really strange, because, like, I would consider Divine Feminine far more connected to spirit, just if you're looking at genetics, because, men are very black and white, they're very structured and orderly and logical and linear. All right. And so I'm thinking, how is this guy up there channeling God, putting his hands on healing, bringing this person back from the dead? And he's a dude, and not to say anything against men. I'm just looking at the hardware here, and how women are just natural healers. And I thought, how come there's not more out there? So it all comes down to the subconscious mind again, is the indoctrination and the repression that we have carried from generation to generation to generation to generation, that we are below men. It actually, that belief system that wasn't even your choosing, that was given to you at birth, it actually lowers your ability to be the healer that you could be. And so when I kind of looked at it, I was like, okay, I mean, life coach, I've been studying the minds of men and women for years. Why would this be easier for men to just be able to connect so quickly to source and to be able to channel it so effortlessly? Because they're black and white. Because as soon as they are touched by God, or the Holy Spirit goes through them, that's all they need. Us, we would need that every day for it to be true, because our worth is always jeopardized, right? So we might have an experience with the Holy Spirit, and then the next day wonder if it was real, because our minds are so internalized and they become extremely sociopathic at times when we're not connected to ourselves in that way of self-love. So although it would be profound if there was a woman Jesus, right? Can you imagine, right? The reason why there isn't as many well-known is because of the subconscious impregnated trauma. Okay? Because like what I could ask Jamie right now, it's like, okay, most of the time, if you ask a man, like, how you're feeling, he'll be like, fine. They're not like as emotionally attached. They also tend to deal with emotion outside of them. Okay? Like, okay, I'm feeling angry. It's here. So what we do is we start to feel anger. We swallow it really quickly because no one can know that we're angry. And so it starts to brew in there, right? And someone angry outside of us, we got to calm you down so you don't blow us up, because we'll be angry if you're angry. And so we become in denial, and we think men are in denial of their emotion. You see that? Like, because you ask them how they're feeling and they don't know, right? And again, with a man, they can have the same amount of trauma, but if they are physically taking action to do something with the energy of that bad feeling, it will not stick. It won't stick. It does not become part of their worth. Unless their father or mother was very emotionally abusive, men don't tend to hold trauma the way women do. Unless it was like your worth was just scrubbed out of you. Men are not that insecure. What makes men usually insecure is that they're not allowed to be men. They can't go out and claim land. They can't go provide for their families the way they want to, because what they want to do in reality doesn't fit the collective mold. That's where they start to get wounded. So that made me feel a little bit better, because I was like, wait a second here, this dynamic is off. And then I'm thinking, why are there so many women in my class? Well, it's because this is where it all brews. We just sit and brew it year after year after year after year. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. And some of us embody it and some of us don't. And I know hundreds of women who are on spiritual journeys that just are on a spiritual journey. They're on a healing journey forever. They're on a journey to find their worth forever. And it never ends, because what we would need to do to end this today is to say, okay, I know who I would love to be. So let me focus on that, and let me clean out my subconscious mind. That's the end goal here. And again, women, we overcomplicate everything, right? It's like we make everything but that's our job. We're supposed to blow up and make everything bigger. You give us ingredients, we'll give you a meal. That's what we do. So again, it's the blessing that gets turned into a curse in this reality. And same with men, because their blessing would be to be able to go and take land and build a farmstead or something on it that would go 10 generations. And they don't even have the opportunity to do that. Some men are lucky to have an apartment in this day and age, let alone, their own garage or something. So, and again, I know I'm being kind of like stereotypish here, but I'm just talking to the main culture that we're dealing with. And so when we think to ourselves, we tend to be more spiritually inclined. Like, I don't think there's ever been a husband and wife that came to see me that the husband was on their journey and the wife wasn't. It's always been kind of like the woman first, and she kind of starts the ball rolling, and then he kind of awakens in that journey. I've not seen, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but like not that Danny was more ahead of Jamie spiritually, but she's probably been more interested in it as like a hobby and a lifestyle than, let's say, a guy would be. Even if he loved it and believed in it, it's not going to be the thing that like fires him up every day. It's going to be something he does to create a means to an end. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I figured. Because again, it's like with that logic comes ease and simplicity. And when women have, oh no, A means Z first, and then you have to go over to G because that's how it works. So you should know that. We're putting ourselves into these spaces that we're already preconditioned. We're already preconditioned to be the underdog because we are actually the super force, because we have the womb energy. And so it's almost like you get birthed in and your stock drops just because you're a feminine, not because of you, but because of what the culture has for, thousands of years in their minds. And so now it's like, oh, well, I have to prove myself. I have to do something. I have to be someone in order to have value here. I've got to, create lots of babies or lots of money. And like in other dimensions and other timelines, it's like just for being a woman was like, worshipped. So it's interesting to see like how it's all coming like full circle. But really, it comes down to science. Like this isn't even like a spiritual, like we think, oh, Satan's trapping us down here. No, we just have bloated, fat, traumatized subconscious minds. That's it. That is the only issue here. It's never been about your worth. It's never been about your education. It's never been about, what you could provide and do for other people. And it's never even about the people that have hurt you, because they haven't hurt you because you are unworthy. They hurt you because you had a program in your subconscious that says, people hurt me. Hear that. You have to hear this. So if you have a program that says people hurt me, then you're going to make the wrong choice until that program goes away. So this is why we have to pay attention to what is showing up with no judgment. Like scientists doing research, what's in the place that I can't see that is responsible for 95% of my ability to create my reality. So you cannot choose your own adventure here with a muddy subconscious. And this is why in the scripture, when Mary was pure, okay, and she was not, she was not impregnated by a human man because she was pure by the spirit. It's all a metaphor. Mary means seed, okay? Purity, basically, it means a clean subconscious or a clean conscious, right? Innocence. That's the whole idea of the Mary energy as far as being, Jesus's mother there. It's about you having a innocent, and say, when I say pure, I don't mean like you've never done anything wrong. I mean, it doesn't matter if you killed 18,000 people. If you cleared out your subconscious mind, you would be pure in the eyes of God. Because again, it's about first, you're going to have to forgive yourself. So that will all happen. But so how do we move forward and not only take our power back, ladies, but do it from a quiet, secret, safe, loving place? Because I'm not telling you to go be a man and take your power back and be like, yeah, we've been repressed for thousands of years. Because that's not going to help you. That's actually just feeding the tank. When you react with what is in your subconscious, it doubles down. Which means that if I react to something I manifested from my subconscious and I react as if it's a brand new situation, the subconscious mind says this is still true. So if you can show up in a situation that you continue to manifest and be like, I don't want this to be true anymore, the subconscious mind will be like, what's happening? I'm here to make you comfortable. But if we don't ever catch ourselves, we just get blindsided every time someone attacks us or judges us, then the subconscious means run the program. She showed up exactly as she doesn't know it's here. But if you have to start being the parent to the wounding within you and start going, I don't like the way this keeps showing up. I don't like how this person keeps talking to me. So that's got to be a program. All right. Now, you guys have done amazing work over these last 15, 16 weeks that we've been working on this. And you're probably getting this. This is probably like all this stuff I'm telling you is not new. But one thing you're going to have to realize about the truth of reality is you're going to have to hear it a million times before you get your aha moments. You know, you've heard this for 30 other teachers, and then one day, you know, it's almost like when you tell your husband something and you said it 30 times, and then the waitress says it to him, and he's like, Eureka, and you're like, I want to kill you in your sleep. You know, we've all had that moment. Or, you know, you said something to one of your clients, or you said something to your kids, and then they just like, right? So when you are ready to receive it, that's when you'll receive it. But if you are adamant about defending yourself in your reality, if you are adamant about fixing your life, if you are adamant about getting it right out there, making money, you are far from manifesting heaven on earth. Because the more you man up and strengthen up to fix your outside world, the more heavier your subconscious gets. So this is where we go, I'm out. I'm out of 30D. I'm out of reality. And I'm going to go work on the script because I do not like this script. And just like it got in there, repetitive, practiced, witnessed, right? The thing is in order for something to become a core belief, it had to happen, and then it had to recycle a lot for it to be a core belief. So like I said, you could have been, you know, mom made you feel unworthy as a child because your brother got the blue cup and you wanted the blue cup. And then, of course, you know, you got older and your friend got the promotion you wanted, and, you know, your sister took your boyfriend, the one you wanted. You see how that's now a story. And now it's literally like, even though it's changing the way it's showing up, you are still, it's not fair. All right. How many times as an adult, the age that you are right now, how many times have you thought just this year, it's not fair? You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair. So we are that is the program of the subconscious. And then it's not fair becomes, what's the point? And once we get what's the point to pardon, that's when we let our bodies go. Okay. That's when we let like things slide in relationships. That's when we let our kids, you know, they become our warden, right? We've like the job becomes our warden, money becomes our warden. As soon as we say, what's the point? But you will get to that point where it's not fair. And what's the point is the fundamental story of your subconscious. And that's really sad because we are literally God sitting in this body. And you literally have every gift of the Christ that Christ had. He just didn't have a subconscious mind. Now, here's one indicator to know that he too had to go on a very similar journey that you're going on right now. It's called 40 days and 40 nights. Why was he fasting in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights? Because he had a human experience. And before he went out to basically say, hey, this is who I am, world. Everything that happened in childhood, you know, all the people that thought he was just a loser little kid, he could not have that in his subconscious mind if he's going to stand and heal people back to life. He cannot have that. He cannot have that counterintuitive story because he was half human. So he had a subconscious. So 40 days and 40 nights is about the purification process. Okay. And then, of course, he was faced with temptation, right? And that temptation was, I know you're starving. Okay. But see, the thing is all of us are starving for something until you truly, truly, truly start to have a partnership with God. You'll be starving somewhere. Of course, it's just, there's a void in you and you're always hungry, you know, and it will show up in what you were lacking in childhood. So whatever you're starving for now, you think it's money. It's not money. It's security. You're starving for security. You know, you think it's getting out of your job, right? I'm starving to get out of my job. No, it's that you're starving for freedom. So you're the one who has to look underneath the surface and go, what am I actually hungry for? Well, what was I lacking in childhood? Okay, because it's going to present itself, but it's going to be an adult problem now. So it's not going to necessarily like, it's not going to make sense until you sit in the vibration of it. What does money represent? What does time represent? What does relationship represent? That's where you're going to find your wounding. Okay. And so your 40 days and 40 nights are going to look a lot different. I will tell you, mine lasted a lot longer than that because I resisted it and probably gave into the bread way too much. You know, like I wasn't passing the tests right away because, again, the things that are projecting out of your subconscious mind feel very real and scary. Okay. Like a big bill in the mail does not feel like, oh, we just need to go reprogram my subconscious mind. It doesn't feel like that's the solution in that moment. It means I got to go work harder. I got to get a loan. I got to call people. I got to make arrangements. You see how it's trying to get you to interact because it's a script. It's trying to get you to act accordingly to it. And not because it's trying to hurt you. It's just because, well, if you didn't have a subconscious mind to keep your identity in check, who would you be? You'd be floating in the void. You would not have an identity. And I will tell you, that feels very scary to your ego to not have an identity. When you don't know who you are, your ego craves the comfort of your old jail cell. You know, when you feel lonely, you crave the comfort of the last abuser you sat with. Because that's how the human condition works when we don't truly know how our whole, system is running here. So best ways to clear out your subconscious mind is the same exact ways you put it in there. Repetitive, right? Consistency, right? Because if you have something that continues to manifest over and over again, then you've been consistent in that vibration. Isn't that sad? It's like, that means I've been consistent in attracting these type of people, whatever. Yes. It means that you're not showing up differently, even though you might think you are. And what humans believe is that if they can show up different in physical reality, that their subconscious is going to see it. Because you're all different. None of you are that 3-year-old. None of you. But your subconscious doesn't see outside of you. So if you react and respond to the very vibration that enslaved you, then you are still 3. Because it does not see outside of you. Okay? So what you've got to do is you've got to stop acting 3, which means reacting and responding to things that you don't like out here in a way as if you're blindsided. You're never blindsided. It's happened to you 15 times. Like I used to have this friend and her husband was just not a cool dude. And I mean, like the emotional abuse that she would go through was just like, it was uncomfortable. And of course, before I had boundaries, she would call and like I would hear it week after week. And she was so shocked every week. She was so shocked that he said that. And I was like, he said that to you 100 times. But she was always so shocked, like it was brand new information that he was this guy. Because again, the part of you that needs to adapt to your situation to survive is always hoping for the best. He's always hoping he's going to change. Well, he didn't drink last night. I think he's different forever. Right? You guys know what I'm talking about here. But where you're getting so like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. Okay. Is where you are in denial of the program. So wherever you feel blindsided is where you're actually in denial. And that pattern is probably run quite a few times even this year. So we have to stop judging what is. We have to get out of circumstances and stop using our senses, our 5 senses to tell us who we are. And we have to go into our heart where we would prefer. Okay. What do I prefer to smell? What do I prefer to know? What do I prefer to be? Because again, you can't quantum leap and just be like, I am, which you could, but that would break down your whole system and you go through hell. It's really difficult. So this is an easier way to do this. Okay. Is to start just figuring out who you are really underneath all these stories. Because if survival issues built you, your personality is built out of survival. And you don't even know it. That's why depression and anxiety feel normal to you. Because you've been depressed and anxious your whole life. It's grown up with you, so you don't even know it. So if you are the calm, happy one, but you are miserable behind closed doors, okay, because you can't fake moods. Moods create worlds. Remember, thoughts and a thought mixed with emotion will generate a feeling. A feeling needs a story. Okay, the story is the assumption. So based on what I'm feeling, I'm now going to assume scenario here, right? my kid just started driving. They're 20 minutes late. Of course, I'm a paranoid mother. Okay, so I have a thought. She's late. Okay, the emotion is I'm worried. The feeling is what could possibly be happening? Well, now ego goes, well, I can think of 20 different things that are happening to her, and none of them are good. And now she's dead in a ditch, right? And that's my mood. And I'm pacing and I'm calling and I'm out of control and I'm having a full adrenal attack. And, then she comes in 30 minutes later, like, sorry, right? But see, all of that just happened. I don't go into my subconscious mind and say, that didn't happen. That happened to my subconscious. Okay, so now next time she's late, even though she came home perfectly, my subconscious is she's dead in a ditch. And if I let that go too much, it could actually happen. Because you are creating your world. So you can create death experiences for other people in your world. I don't know if you're aware of that. If you worry about them too much, you can create accidents for them. Now, they might not be experiencing any of that in their focal point of reality, but the version of them that you're getting is going to go through that. And you're going to watch it. And you're going to think you prophesized it. Because you did. You created it. So worrying is actually using your imagination, which is what you use to create worlds, to build more of a jail cell for yourself. All right. So I think men are usually better at the worrying thing than women because we overthink everything. Like I said, 60,000 more thoughts a day. We have more reasons to worry. Men are more solution oriented, right? Even if it's uncomfortable, even if they work more, there's a solution. Women are like, well, what if I work more and they don't promote me? And then what if this happens? And then what if this happens? And then what if this happens? And what if this happens? Because there's a lot more storage in the subconscious because men they're not the house of space and abundance. They're the house of time and freedom. So they don't want things to take their time and they don't want things to take their freedom. So they don't micromanage things the way we do. And men who are allowed to be themselves are genuinely way happier than women. I don't know if you're aware of that, but they are by nature because they don't hold on to everything as if they let anything go, they're like, the whole life is going to fall apart. And so then, of course, when we start stepping in like men, we're not acting happy-go-lucky like men. We're rigid and arrogant and prideful and opinionated and controlling. We're not the good type of man. I know, I've been there. Okay, so solution here. Moving forward for the rest of your life, you're going to constantly be studying your subconscious and basically course correcting, editing, directing, acting, but being present, okay? Being present is the only way you're ever going to be able to create this new world for yourself. Because in the present moment is when you can see what's manifesting. If you're living in the past or the future, that's why you get blindsided because you're not paying attention to your running the pattern because you're so worried about the past. Now, you clear out your subconscious, you're not going to remember your past the same way. You will not be, oh, everybody who lives in this area acts like this. You'll just be like, oh yeah, I remember something like that. Because you'll actually clear out a lot of your memories when you clear out your subconscious. Okay, which is great because that means you have more space for more new information. People who keep adding on data and never clearing out their subconscious mind will go nuts. And I would say that's the majority of what I look at in the spiritual community. They're adding classes, adding workshops, adding certifications on top of daddy issues, mommy issues, money issues. And notice they're the most educated people in the world and they can't rub two nickels together. All right? You can't get a paying client, yet they know more than Gandhi. You see? So, but without us taking responsibility and clearing out the subconscious mind, it's not worth it to add more data because you're just going to get more confused, right? Too many choices causes insanity. Are you aware of that? This is why with children, 2 hands, 2 choices. They walk into 31 flavors, they have a panic attack. Too many choices. So if you have too many choices from past, future fear, you might do nothing. And that's called freeze. And that's going to shut your nervous system down. Okay. Anger, resentment. See, it's not just bad enough that it creates our reality, but it also festers in the human body. So anger that is not dealt with, right, becomes rheumatism, right? Inflammation. It's going to turn into something. It's going to mix with your chemicals and create a new substance. So emotional pain becomes dis-ease. And so this is why, you talk to your mother-in-law or something and she's miserable and she's bitter and everybody's out to get her and her arthritis is hurting her. Yet she's the sweetest lady in the world. She's literally just regurgitating her subconscious mind, even though her conscious awareness is still just sweet. I know you know people like this. And you're just like, I can't be right. You're so nice. They have no idea they're that negative because it's just an autopilot. And see, that's another way to reprogram is get out of autopilot. If you're in autopilot, you don't know what patterns you're rerunning. Because I will tell you, when your subconscious is ready to run the pattern again that you've ran 100 times, it will feel like hope. It will feel like excitement. When your true soul or spirit, like that's divine, is ready to start something new, it does not feel like hope and excitement. It feels like courage. It feels new. Excitement and hope is, oh, I hope I get it right this time. I hope this person is the right person. I hope this is the money. You see how it's, I want to be helped by something outside of me. True change is, I'm going to be someone different. And that takes courage. So you cannot follow your excitement anymore, right? Because I will tell you, this growth stuff does not feel exciting. Going into a comfortable past feels exciting sometimes because it's a comfortable jail cell. So number one, be in the present moment, right? And like study your reality with no judgment. You start to see things that you're manifesting over and over again. Don't judge it. Okay. I don't like that. It's just looking at a movie script. Okay. I don't like what that character keeps doing here. So I got to change my internal character to not be such a victim to that. Okay. And then you've got to practice that, which means now, once you've changed and made up your mind that that needs to be different, now you have to repetitively put in the new story over and over and over again manually. Okay. And not just once a day, but as many times a day as you can think about. Now, here's the trick, guys. If you just start affirming things, it isn't going to work. So what creates reality? You need 4 steps to create reality, which means you have to build a mood out of it. You have to build a mood out of what you don't have yet. So if I have a thought, right? Like I am powerful. Okay. Well, now I need to create emotion around that. So I need to start moving my body around so I can feel more powerful. Well, now I got to create a feeling. Well, the feeling's going to need a story. So now I'm visualizing myself doing something really powerful. And now I'm creating mood. The mood will now go on top of the old story. Okay. And see, negative and positive tend to neutralize themselves. So if you're sitting there just like, oh, I am this, I am that, your subconscious is going to get irritated by you and start creating, well, no, this is what we actually believe. And it will be the exact opposite of what you want. And I know some of you guys are doing that. Like you're IMing, but it's not from a heart space and you're not feeling it. You're not method acting it. And therefore your subconscious is like irritated by you because you have to understand it. The subconscious is a woman. and what irritates us, ladies, when people don't hear and see us. And so if you start saying something that the subconscious is like, no, this is what I'm saying, she'll get irritated with you and start getting louder and bigger. No, this is who you are. You're unworthy. So you've got to do this in a loving way, which means that you're not trying to tell her she's wrong. You're telling her that she's better. You're telling her how amazing she is because you're generating a heart-filled emotion around it. All right. Now, when you couple that on to cleaning out your reality, which means things that are taking instant gratification. Your dopamine hit that you receive throughout the day should no longer be chocolate or social media. It should be the moods you create. You can create huge amount of dopamine in a mood. You can create oxytocin in a mood. You start giving your body that a few times a day from nothing outside of you. Oh, this is when you start to become a very powerful creator. When you can create dopamine from a mood, which means you didn't need to buy anything, you didn't need nobody to tell you you're cute, you didn't need no chocolate bar, you're powerful. Because now you are not attached to 3D. You are not attached to your reality to generate your joy, your happiness, your strength, your motivation. And so when you can start generating your own dopamine hits, these addictions will begin to fall away. Sugar addiction will go, shopping addiction will go, need to talk to people or healing or more classes or whatever you're addicted to will just begin to go, because you are giving to yourself through imagination that what you were starving for. And when you fill your own starvation, you become a very powerful manifester with nothing outside of you. Okay, so it's almost like we wish men could read our mind. We do. We do. I mean, it's proven. And we create moods that we want you to try to figure out. You know, what's wrong? Nothing. What's wrong? Nothing. You should know what nothing means. There should be a Bible of nothing words that women say that men are like, oh, what does nothing mean? It means everything. Just know, when you can cut the tension with a knife and we say nothing, we mean everything, and it's probably your fault. Okay? So you have to look at your subconscious is doing the same thing. I know Jamie's like, I know, yeah. It's just like, or like they say, hey, can I go to my buddies? Yeah, go. That means do not go. Do not leave the house, or you might not live in the morning. You know, it's just like, so again, when you're asking your subconscious to change something that she's worked really hard to create, because she's worked really hard to create that unworthy program in there, and you are just saying it's nothing. It's like a woman that spent all day cooking and he came home and was like, I don't really like fish. That's how your subconscious mind feels when she has created this reality and you poo-poo it. She's like not happy. So in order for you to understand your subconscious, you have to understand women, which you are one. So, you know, you want the man to be able to read your mind. Your conscious awareness is your man. So you can see the dueling problem that happens in your own brain. Your masculine and feminine are at war. Because she's like, look at what I made for you, and you don't even appreciate me. And he's like, well, I'm working my tail off to make money, but you have a pattern that says we're broke, so we can't have money. And that's exactly how it works. And so the only thing you can do is stop. Stop the movie. Stop. Pause life. Okay? Study the characters that are around. Study your childhood a little bit differently, looking at your future moments, which means your present moment. Look at that, and then go look at your childhood. Because, you know, people will tell me, oh, no, childhood is good. Why do you keep creating this thing in your life then? Okay. Oh, well, I didn't think that made me a bad child. You don't have a bad childhood. You had bad trauma in your childhood. You see? So it's not about having a bad childhood. But, you know, the happier you are, you have to understand that when someone is used to bad things happening, then it's like, it's almost like a perspective thing. Someone can have the best life in the world and lose their favorite toy and literally create cancer out of that. And then, you know, someone like us could be like getting beat up every day by our parents, and that wasn't the worst thing that happened. So it's perspective of basically your core desires mixed with who you were allowed to be. If you didn't really care about becoming much, then people telling you you're worthless isn't really going to bother you. But if you are here to live a very big reality and the people around you told you that you weren't good enough, that's going to be a major trauma for you. This is why you can never judge someone else's story or their subconscious based on what has happened to them, because that's comparison. Well, you had a good childhood and you had a parent that loved you, you know, but you can't, you know what I mean? It's like, there it is again, the woman in comparison. So we have to take ownership to our own crazy, really. And not that men don't have to go through this in their own way, but what I have seen coaching for now, like 7 or 8 years professionally, is that when I have a male client and a woman client, almost 100% of the time, he requires half of the time in the session. So instead of an hour, he just needs 30 minutes. And he will usually get results faster than her. Just like, you know, when we go on a diet and we give up everything and lose nothing, and they give up soda and lose 20 pounds, because they're not carrying it the way we are carrying it. Okay. Unless they're extremely feminine men, and then they will carry it exactly the same. But, you know, the ones you guys are probably dealing with are not extremely feminine. So you're going like, why is it so easy when you do it? You know, you meditated for 5 minutes and you saw Jesus. I meditated in 20 years and haven't met the dude yet. You see? So again, even though you have the direct connect to spirit, it has so many more wounds in it, right? So then when a man gets it, it's A and B. It's black and white. Yep. God touched me. I'm the right-handed man now. I'm up here healing people on stage. You see? So we are creating more of a hell for ourselves when we keep putting stuff in to hide it. So whatever you're avoiding is going to manifest. Whatever you're resisting is going to manifest, because you have to look at every single thought, mood that goes into your womb is it's going to create a baby. You cannot hide these emotions for long. So you think, oh, you know, yeah, I'm fine. Great. And then 2 days later, 3 days later, 4 years later, you're manifesting what you hid. So you cannot hide from yourself and you cannot outrun yourself, which means you cannot change your story out there to change this subconscious. So the way we do this is hypnosis, which means putting yourself in an altered state. When your body is receptive the most is when you are the most calm. And it's interesting because when you need to change your reality, you are not the most calm, are you? You're like 911, go, I need to do something, right? And what you literally need to do is get yourself so relaxed that you become impressionable. So the more your muscles are relaxed, the more sponge-like your subconscious is. Okay, so the more rigid you are and worried, she's not hearing you at all. She's like, nope, you're not coming in here with that energy. You're not getting in my womb. It's just like a protective mechanism. You can't come in here with that yucky energy. But when you're soft and relaxed, she's like, okay, what do you have to say here? Right? So she's very suggestible and she's allowing. And so then, you know, 45 minutes of worry, you haven't even gotten a dent in her. 5 minutes of relaxation, she took the assumption and said, let's see what this is. She's starting to kind of take it in. Okay. And again, you guys don't realize is that she does not care whether you like it or not. She prepared it because you kept giving it to her and she made something out of it. So when you are upset at your own reality, that's what causes the discord between the masculine and feminine brain. And then that's what causes the disassociation where you think you're living one life and you're living a completely different reality. Because now you're roommates, your cellmates, your jailmates, you are not soulmates, you see? So what we got to do is we got to start understanding how she works. And we have to do it her way. Ladies, you know this. It has to be your way. So it has to be her way. And because masculine or your conscious reality is the one that can see and choose and decide what's going on, it has to be consistent. Okay. It has to be disciplined, which means that he can't say, yes, we're going to do this 5-minute meditation one day and then never do it again. You know, we know that, you know, you said you were going to take the trash out every day, right? Oh, you did it once and now you want like a gold star. Yeah, we know that story too. So looking at it in the analogy of husband and wife, women, when we say we want help, we don't want help once. We want help every day. And this could be the other way around too. You know, guys are like, I need some help around here, not once. we live every day. So I need help every day. So you need to look at this change as an everyday consistent routine. And you're the disciple disciplined off of your reality, which means You're like the studying your reality, and you're disciplined on what you do and do not want. Like, yes, we keep this, this has to go. The less judgmental you are about it, the faster it will happen. But if you start judging everything, I mean, and I did, of course, because, I'm a woman. So I'm like, oh, I can't believe I was doing this. And it literally shattered a lot of my reality, because so much of my identity has come from her. You see, like her pain, it created my strength. Her insecurity created my obsessions. You see, her missing, her starvation created my addictions. So these are all things I'm doing, thinking that they're me, because my operation system is broken or hurting or traumatized. And I don't know a human on the planet that has been in physical reality that doesn't have some programming to do and reprogram. Okay. So in hindsight, as we move forward, we have to stop looking at ourselves as like right and wrong, or, we want to stop, because in someone else's universe, you could be the best person in the world, but their subconscious sees your energy as the villain. This is why you can't take anything personally. And if you just looked at your physical reality as a movie script that was playing itself out, then all you would have to do is decide you want a different character and then change the script. And now that took me, I will tell you, about 3 months when I really got serious, because I did this for a year, but it took me 3 months of 3 times a day going into the deep relaxation, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 30 if I had it. And I would put in everything I wanted. It doesn't matter if I believe those things. They don't have to be real. They don't have to be within my budget, because she doesn't care. She just wants to make something out of what she's getting consistently. So if I saying I'm a millionaire in there and I'm doing it in this really suggestible, not need, you can't be like, you can't have the need. Okay, because then you're needy, and she doesn't like needy. Ugh, right? You have to be just like, I am, and this is amazing, and we're so awesome. And she's like, oh, I like this. Okay, and we're relaxed. So we'll see if I hear this again. Ladies, how many times do you need to be complimented before you feel attractive? Right? Okay, so you could feel really good, but if you only got 1 compliment that night, you'd be like, what the heck? You want 10 compliments from all different people in order for it to be real, don't you? In order for something to be real about you, you need to hear from multiple people. All right. So perfect example, my son, he's starting to get his poison subconscious because his dad is very critical constantly. Well, he had the best baseball game of his life last night. And I mean, he made the winning play, but he's so used to getting criticized, you guys, that he was flinching when the game was over because his dad. And everybody was like, look. He came up to me literally and was like, Mom, why are they all talking good about me? Yeah, it broke my heart. I'm like, because you're awesome. He's like, I am. And I'm like, dude, did you just see yourself? He's like, well, I thought I was in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, that's how sad it is. And he's 10 years old. So again, something could be happening outside of you and you could misunderstand it, can't you? Number 1 issue in relationship is miscommunication and tone of voice, because it triggers subconscious. Women, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. You see? So you have to see her as the wounded woman within you. And you know what she needs because it's what you need. It's what you needed. And so it's not going to be one time. She also needs truth. Okay. So she needs to know that she's got help. So this is where, that divine masculine that she hasn't been able to trust. This is where you have to rebuild your spiritual connection with God. All right. Because she wants to be submissive to this story. She doesn't want to work this hard. She wants to know that I am a millionaire and that she doesn't have to worry about the how. So if you're saying how, it's because there's a lot of lack sitting there and lack of trust. So we got to make sure that we are looking at what she needs instead of what we need, because she will give you $1 million from substance, The same way that God grows the grass, she will produce $1 million in your bank account if you tell her every day in a loving, gentle way, and you are grateful and appreciative, and you are loving, and you keep your word. Because that is the number one thing that women just do not like, is when your words don't match your actions. So you can't say, I'm a millionaire, and then get all freaked out when a bill comes, because she's going to be like, I thought we were a millionaire. Well, I guess we're not. Because again, she's going to be taking things in, but how you react could be traumatic for her. And now she doesn't want it. No, I'm done. Nope. Missed the point. And so you're going to have to like really watch your reactions if you're serious about this. And that's why I said it's like studying the subconscious mind would be the best investment that you could have right now, because understanding how she works is going to make your job a lot easier. Because again, it's just like, what do you do for something you can't see? And she can't see. So again, she's very literal. Broke is broke. Okay. So you've got to be careful of your language, because it's suggestible. If you are really scared and you've created a mood out of being broke, well, then you just created reality, because the mood is what she is looking at. What kind of mood are you in? If you say I'm rich, but you're in a bad mood, no. So she doesn't have to take everything in. And so you literally have to seduce her. All right. And I don't mean sexually. I mean, woo her and make her feel like she's amazing and she's doing everything right. And that will come from relaxed body sensation. You know, ladies, we all know what it's like when our guy is like trying to get lucky, and we feel real rigid, and like we don't feel attractive, and we don't feel like we are like locked up, you know? And then when they like clean the dishes and then, you know, bring you flowers and they do all these things over here, you're like, you're an open flower, aren't you? So looking at your subconscious mind as the same way. And this will rebuild the relationship, because she's got to trust the subconscious mind to keep his word. And he's got to know that whatever he's putting in, she's growing. So you don't have the opportunity to go gossip anymore. You don't have the opportunity to go be envious anymore, because she's going to grow that. And you're going to see people doing way better than you. Because if you create a mood out of envy, she's going to produce lots more people doing way better than you, so you can see it. Are you guys getting this? Okay. So this is our mission as women, is to realize that we have so much power that we've actually just overcomplicated this whole thing for ourselves. You know, and it's not that men can do it faster and easier. It's just that they don't overthink everything. Okay, because the conscious mind can change its mind in 1 second. It might take 3 months to change something in the subconscious. If it takes 9 months to grow a baby, a child, then and you would look at like a business the same as a child, right? Or $1 million the same as a child. Well, then you better be willing to give at least 9 months. And it may not take that much. But if you allow her to be in her own time, she'll do it earlier. If you need quick results, she'll make you wait. She'll take 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. She'll take 3 years. Because the more you need it, the more it rejects what she is, because you don't appreciate what she's already done. Okay? So this is the science of divine feminine and masculine within you as a complete manifestation house, which means you are Mary. And if you purify yourself, you do not need the seed of anything other than what's in your heart to manifest millions of dollars, you know, opportunities, people, places, things, different face, different body if you want it. Because again, she can create anything from the substance of desire. Everything. It's only your beliefs that limit her. Okay. So if you believe that you couldn't change your face, or if you believe that you couldn't change, you know, something over here, well, then that will be honored. But if you're like, let me really play with this thing, and if I can get myself to believe it, I can get her to believe it, then she'll get my body to believe it. And then once my body believes it, I manifested it already, because that's what I do. All right. So all of the scripture is literally your treasure map. But you've got to decode it, just like you have to decode your physical reality. Your physical reality is like in parables. Okay, so it's like, well, this person's acting this way and this person is acting this way, and you're getting all caught up in it. Well, you missed the point. That's sin, missed the mark. You just separated from your true nature. And now you're caught up in it, and now you're manifesting more of it. All right. So as far as continued education goes, not me personally, but Danny has created a kind of a subconscious, like we put all of our favorite subconscious authors into AI, and it created this really cool like course. Not to do one more course, but like I said, if you study the subconscious mind, then you will be at the top of the spiritual food chain. Okay. If you just study the subconscious mind, you'll be at the top of the spiritual and the scientific community, because nothing happens in reality without the subconscious. Nothing. Nothing will change. And especially by becoming smarter. If you become smarter with a jacked up, memory, it's going to be hell on earth, because you're going to have so much knowledge and you will have no power to create. Okay. This is why ignorance is bliss sometimes. So we can offer to you guys that if you've been a part of this, and you can do it, and let us know what you think of the course, because we just kind of like threw all of our favorite authors. And what I love about the early teachers of the subconscious is they all say the same thing. I mean, down to the same scriptures. They're quoting scripture here. So it's easy to the threshold of belief when people are all saying the same thing. I'm just giving it to you from the divine feminine perspective, and looking at it into the kind of the metaphors of like relationship dynamic. And that really helps me, because it's like it's like Jesus, like, who is this guy? It's like, well, thank gosh we have him as a muse, pictures and stuff. But for the subconscious, you have to see it as a woman. And a woman that's like literally a woman, like she's not hiding who she is. She's in her emotion, all glory of it. And all she wants to do is grow whatever you give her. So you've got to be careful what you're growing, because if you don't feel safe in childhood, you might have a weight issue right now. And it might not have nothing to do with your life right now, because your inner child still has to wear the armor. Every time you lose it, she'll just put it right back on. And she'll be like, look what I did. Aren't you proud of me? I just gave you more of what you took away. And you're like, no. So I'm telling you, when I say literal and logical, like there's no personality there for her. It's just, did I do good or not? And you better tell me I did good, even if I didn't. Okay. So we'll try that, and we'll see where you guys are with that. But I would love to like stay in touch and see. Like I said, I've got these 3 meditations I'm going to give you guys. I'm going to give you a hypnosis to help you relax in to change your childhood story, because this will help a lot. If you can get your childhood story different in there, this will be half the time. Because she's going to always go off of that hard drive story first to see. And so sometimes you start putting on this stuff, she's like, that doesn't make sense with your childhood. And so she won't give you a new story. So what I've seen is by me changing my story as child and getting her to believe that with a lot of emotion and moods, it started to work a lot faster, because I did get exactly what I asked for. And I'll be sharing more about that when it comes through, but I won't have to work again. That's cool. And then I was just like, well, might as well go for it, right? If I'm going to go through hell, I'm going to get everything I want, which is what you deserve. Okay. So start with that. And if you're ever like, think about yourself as a woman, what do you need? All right. If there's a little bit of an argument, you're going to grow a fight. So remember that. Remember that when you're looking at who you are as far as creation. And stop hiding your moods. Don't like do all this work in the subconscious and then swallow anger. Like, it would be your best interest right now to be like, any emotion that I cannot deal with right now, I write down, so I keep it a little bit outside of me. And then when I'm alone in private, I can yell, I can scream, I can chant. But you have to watch your automatic reactions when it comes to lower vibrations. I know it's easy to be bitter. I know it's easy to be resentful, but if I keep washing the dishes and you keep putting dirty dishes in, are we ever going to get done with the dishes? So you got to look at all the work you're going to do to clean out your subconscious. Don't put dirty dishes in. That means you're going to have to be very present. You're going to have to find a way out of fear, which is, for me, it's faith. Okay. It's faith in knowing that fear is actually creating a mood that is going to create something really bad. So it is not in my best interest to go with any fear, even if I'm scared. So we have to find a resource that makes you feel better. For me, it's faith. Okay. Faith in knowing that I can turn my burden over. But at first I did not have that. So I would just play the non-duality game. Like, oh, okay, I can't be afraid right now. So let me just breathe. Let me feel anything. Let me go look at the flowers. You know, you've got to interrupt certain patterns that you're just really used to. Okay, you got to interrupt the patterns and then clean her out. And then you will see your manifestations are literally, there's no pepper in your pumpkin pie, because that's what we want. All right, relationships are good. Health is good. Money is good. You get to play and be the child, which means you get to go back and have the childhood you deserved in an adult body, knowing that your burden is taken care of, because that's how you programmed her. Okay. All right, guys, I love you. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you got a lot out of this. I would love to hear your thoughts. Like, if you want to write up something or just share something with me, you know, it's been a journey. And we'll continue your education any way that any information I come into, I will definitely hand it over to you guys, because, you know, we all deserve this. Every one of us. We have helped so many people, and we have done so many good things that we deserve to have the flow of that come back, and all that pay it forward to come back. You deserve that. And it's all waiting for you. But again, as long as we keep looking at what we don't have, we create more of it. Okay? All right, guys. Love you. See you soon. Bye.